All right, innovators, I wanted to give you some feedback on your presentation from Wednesday night. Thank you so much for all the work you put into this project. I know you lost a couple of group members and you were one of the smaller groups, so I appreciate everything you did. Let me just top line a couple of high points for you guys. And I'm just going to give you video feedback, and then next week I'll hand you the packet with all of the student feedback. But this serves as your grading feedback, this video, which is faster than me trying to write it all down. Okay, so overall, your time was 26, so that was fine. Your introduction, Daniel, you were strong. The closing felt a little quick and flat, however. Transitions, you didn't really introduce the next speaker as you went along. You didn't introduce everybody up front, but you need to continue those introductions as people go along because they forget who you are while you're presenting. The clarity of recommendation, the criteria overview section, I think I mentioned this after class, but that was a little quick. I would have liked to see more. The second group that went after you kind of had the set the bar as far as the ideal way of kind of how to tee up criteria, explaining what it is, the data you're going to evaluate, and how a company wins. Other items, the slides. You had some slides that were missing titles with some of your tables. You didn't have any sourcing on your graphics, and you didn't have any slide numbers. As far as use of time, you're fine at 26 minutes. However, over 11 minutes of the presentation was overview section where you're just kind of talking about the industry, and you didn't really get into criteria analysis until after minute 11. So that was a little lopsided, too much on the overview piece. Okay, as far as individual speakers, Daniel, you engaged well with the audience. You had good energy. You're still pacing around a little bit when you present, so try to stand more still. The industry section was really about the three companies. So the industry slide should be about the industry as a whole. Tell us about the industry, because those three car companies, although they're large, they don't represent the entire auto industry. So industry information is about the entire industry. Then you talk about the position, then you talk about the three companies. Your industry section was basically about the three companies. So that's just a nuanced piece there. If you're going to state names also, when you're mentioning people's names, make sure you know how to pronunciate them correctly. That's just a little important piece for presentations. Otherwise, don't state their name if you can't pronounce it correctly. Overall, I thought you were conversational, Daniel, and you did a good job of connecting with the audience, asking good questions, and keeping your energy up. So that was good for the opening piece, for sure. Brooke, let's see. You were well rehearsed. You had a good conversational delivery. You had good poise. You were standing in front of the audience. You seemed comfortable. You had good eye contact. You had good knowledge on all the facts. So well done. Some good graphs when we got to the satisfaction. Oh, actually, that was Curtis. Customer preference information. So nice job with your poise, and big improvement from your first presentation, no doubt. Curtis, you were third. You covered the criteria overview. I mentioned some things about that earlier, also benefits and salary. Now, I noticed that you presented sideways. You're presenting mostly kind of sideways towards the screen, and I was on the left side of the room, so you never really turned to face the entire class. So that's just a little tip. Make sure you're engaging the entire class, moving around if you need to for larger environments. I would go a little bit slower. I already mentioned more detail on the criteria points. I think you did a good job of recapping the winner on each criteria point. The benefits table, however, had the same hash marks for all three companies, so graphically we couldn't really see why one company won over the other, because your table actually showed that they all had the same stuff. And what I'd mentioned in the practice session was highlight anything that's different. You talked about it, but you would also want to show that somehow in the graphic itself. Okay, and then Abraham, so who doesn't like to present? You did fine. So growth opportunity and sustainability. Some good graphics. The table didn't have any slide on it, however. You could also go slower. You could talk to the audience more as opposed to presenting to the screen. And that's most of my notes there. So all that being said, I haven't seen the rest of the presentations, but I'd probably say you guys are in the low B, high C range as far as your presentation. again, I'm going to hold off on submitting your final grade until I see the other groups and how they do as well. So for a small group with, you know, coming and goings of group members, you guys pulled it together and had a decent presentation. So thanks for all your work.